I'm Peter Neumeyer, and I'm a retired professor of English.
When did you first know about Edward Gorey?
I picked up the Ghastly Crumb Chinese in Harvard Square, and that's the first time I'd ever heard of him, or I didn't hear of him, the first thing I ever saw of him, and the only thing I ever saw before my contact with Harry Stanton and our beginning to work together. I really knew nothing about it. He was mainly doing anchor books, I imagine.
So you had a children's book idea with Harry, and I think you were ostensibly going to illustrate it yourself.
Right, I did
So
illustrate
tell
it
me
myself.
how Edward came onto the picture.
Well, I'd been doing, I have some samples of them on watercolor, spiral watercolor pads. I'd been doing books for my children, watercoloring them and doing very simple text. And Harry Stanton was vice president of Addison Wesley Publisher. And we were working together on a college textbook. And he came to our house to talk about that. And I went in the kitchen to get the bourbon, and Harry was sitting at my desk messing around among the papers on it while I was out, and came upon one of these watercolor books. And when I came back, he had looked at it, and he said to me, "Forget about the textbook, let's do children's books." And, or a children's book, I don't remember. And I'd never thought of that, really, but it was fine with me. The textbook was tedious. And so we started talking about that, and Harry had less sense of, I think he had no experience with children's book illustration, and he thought my illustrations might do. I don't think they would have ever done. And cooler heads prevailed at Addison Wesley, and somebody said, you know, there's a fine young artist that is a Dutton who was doing anchor books, who ran, I don't know, was doing covers, beautiful covers.
Doubleday.
Was it Doubleday?
And then it was Anchor. I'm not sure what it was.
And in New York was doing those covers, and his name is Edward Gorey, and Stanton said, let me look into this. I don't think he had ever heard of Edward Gorey. And I had just barely, I'd picked up this one book which struck my fancy in a book bin, a used Ghastly Crumb Tinies. And so Harry was put on to Gorey at that point, and the rest is at least a little bit of history.